Okay, checkity check. Really quick, simple video. Gonna be talking about the Osmo Pocket versus the GoPro 7. I saw a lot of these comparisons, like as soon as the video came out, because everyone's a hype beast and getting right on the train straight away. I'm a little slow to the bat. We're at the end of February 2019. We're running firmware 1.4.0.20. That one. Now we can have all the pro controls right on the screen. We don't need to connect the phone, which was the big issue. So now, both of these $350 cameras that shoot 4K 60 stabilized, that have pretty much manual controls on the screen. Which is the best? What's gonna do the best job? What's gonna be right for you? No fluff. Okay, talking about things that I liked and didn't like about each camera, starting with the Osmo. Every other YouTube review that I watched before handling the camera emphasized like how small and crazy it is, and it's something that you don't understand until you get to hold it, but it really surprised me how tiny it is. If we do the pocket test, these are pretty tight pants. GoPro is a little bulkier, but also fits pretty well. I don't know, which ones? Let's get some of this. They both fit about as good as each other in my male pants. Females might have a different experience with their terrible pockets in their women's pants. I saw Craig Adams mention this, but literally, it's incredible how quickly this thing starts up. If I turn it on,
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi,
we're going,
3,
and we're recording. Just like that. Depending on the time of day, I think that might actually be quicker than getting my phone out and opening up my camera app and pressing record. I mean, maybe a similar time frame on the GoPro, but the GoPro just has to turn on and go. This does its whole gimbal balance in that time as well. I really like the placements of these buttons on the front. The record and the function button. They're kind of right there on your thumb, and I think the placement's really nice. I do like the overall design, the grippy matte texture. I really like the Dji-like color profile that it comes with now. When you compare it to just normal mode, the dynamic range and the color accuracy is just way better. The flat profile on the GoPro is definitely a lot more flat than the Dji-like. I don't know if I have a preference for which flat color profile I like better. They've both got an individual look to them. In the tests that I ran, I felt like the Osmo tends to pull a little more red and the GoPro tends to pull a little more blue. Things I didn't love as much, the charging point on the bottom, I don't understand this from a design standpoint. It makes it really hard. Without the other accessories, you can't charge while you're recording. It's kind of just an awkward placement for it. If I wanted to set this up with like a power brick and do a time lapse, I couldn't really. I kind of wish the charging point was on the side. By itself, without the other accessories, it is a little awkward to hold for vlogging. When I hold it out here at arm's length, I have to really hold it out far, and I'm still getting quite a tight angle. The 28mm field of view on this. This is a quick vlog test. We're shooting 2.7K, 24 frames, shooting just standard on the Osmo, both flat profiles. We got a lot of branches, so we're going in and out of direct sunlight. What is the color like on these? How is the audio on the Osmo Pocket? And how is the audio on the GoPro 7? When I was doing my tests, I was kind of really... If I could get the action sports bracket and throw on like a small tripod grip like this, I feel like it would be the perfect distance away. I don't really love this modular design front. Not that I really want to connect my phone that much. These tiny little pieces to connect the phone are just kind of awkward. I'm surprised they didn't get lost. I feel like if I continue to use this Osmo, I will definitely lose this little lightning port pretty quickly. I wish that once you attach the correct attachment for your phone, that this would kind of just like flip in on itself and hide inside the body. Now with the firmware update, I don't really want to connect my phone that much. Things I like about the GoPro. Hypersmooth works just like so well on the GoPro. I've already done a separate video on the GoPro 7 comparing it to the 5 and having a look in-depthly at Hypersmooth. And testing it again today, it's just so good. I know some people have some complaints that it looks a little FPV drone roller coaster-y, but the thing I like about the GoPro is no matter where you point the camera, that's what you're going to capture. With the Osmo, as I was doing these tests, when I pan, let's see if you can see this. The Osmo kind of follows like a normal gimbal, and so you kind of miss some of the action. At times it can be hard to really frame your shot and know what you're getting, especially at this little square screen. I don't really know what information I'm missing on the sides. The GoPro, I just point it, I know I'm getting the action.
What are they doing? What are they doing?
They have this FPV mode where I can go like super fast, but then we just start to get all kinds of like issues. With the GoPro, I point it, I get the action. I point it, I get the action. I feel like I'm not gonna really miss out on shots, whereas with the Osmo, if I was trying to capture something going on, there's a chance I might miss it. Obviously the GoPro is very durable, it's waterproof. I'm not really worried about this thing getting beat up other than maybe the screen getting scratched. I feel pretty comfortable just throwing it in my backpack. The Osmo does feel a little fragile. You know, even getting it in and out of this little case. I was a little worried at times not to hurt the gimbal head. So if you're rough on your gear, maybe the GoPro. Things I don't love as much about the GoPro, because of the difference in the field of view, to shoot in linear mode, you have to switch to 2.7K. So if I want to shoot people's faces and not get such a wide shot, I do have to switch down to 2.7K, so I'm losing some resolution. Whereas with the Pocket, I can still get 4K 60 with that nice field of view. So getting more like film type, shots of people's faces, maybe as a B-roll camera. I think this is a little nicer. Full auto mode on both cameras. Neither one was great. Obviously to get the best picture, you want to be shooting in manual settings. It's almost crazy how much of a difference. The colors out of both of them in full auto mode, neither of them are really that good. These small sensored cameras, when there's like a lot of sunlight, they look pretty good. But as soon as you start getting exposure changes and stuff, they both sort of freak out. So knowing the best manual settings for your situation is really gonna make a big difference with these cheap cameras. Things I like about both of them. They both switch to vertical mode so easy. That was it. The one difference is the GoPro menu will switch with you, but the Pockets stays horizontal. But it's literally so easy to, if you start recording like this, it will give you a vertical video. So for Instagram stories, things like that, both of them do a really great job. The biggest difference maybe being the field of view. The GoPro kind of gives you a bit of a wider look and the Pocket is more punched in, but it gives you that depth of field. Both interfaces are really great. Once you know where everything is, they're both super quick to change settings, to adjust things for exposure. The Osmo maybe gets the upper hand because you can do it all with one hand with this little touch screen. Everything's right there, either up, down, left, or right, all your settings, so that's kind of nice. The GoPro, because you're generally going to be using it with a case, it's not as good for that, but if you have two hands, it's super easy still to change through all your settings. So for design and usability, I'd say they're about even, just slightly different. When shooting in the flat profile and the D-Cinelike, both of them have really great dynamic range. I really tried to look and see if one performed better than the other, but in my opinions, both of them handled really well. I don't know, maybe you see something different. Have a look at these clips and let me know what you think. For taking photos, I did like the Osmo a little better because it has this physical buttons here that you can just press and you feel like you get a good image. With the GoPro, I've never really liked taking photos on the GoPro because you have to press it down and I feel like you're shaking the camera as you take the photo. With the older ones, there was a lot of shaking issues. These newer ones are pretty good at it. They've got it figured out. It's still not the easiest to just like take a photo. I feel like I really have to press down. Whereas with the Pocket, it's kind of just nice. Taking a vertical image, button's very easy to press. As far as image quality, they both shoot RAW. The Osmo can give you that depth of field like we talked about, whereas the GoPro, once again, is that completely in focus image. Probably the biggest difference on these cameras is the field of view. So you're looking at like a 16mm field of view versus a 26mm field of view. So in some situations, that ability to get that wide is really handy. When you're inside in close quarters, being able to get that wide field of view, super handy. But when you're shooting things or people or faces, even the linear mode sometimes is very wide. The Osmo with that 26mm lens look, it's a nice complementary field of view for faces and shapes like that. Once again, without an accessory, maybe not the greatest for vlogging, not terrible. Besides the field of view difference, the GoPro is going to be giving you that f11, f16 completely in focus picture, whereas they quote the Osmo as shooting at a f2. So you can get some nice depth of field. It's pretty good at tracking faces. We can get some nice background separation. Frames, shooting, just standard on the Osmo. Both flat. Another thing I really didn't like about the Osmo is it shoots this great 4K image, but then when I want to do a time lapse, it doesn't let me customize any of my settings and it gives me a 1080 image. The GoPro still lets me use Pro Tune, dial in my manual settings, and it lets me shoot in 4K. But when it comes to time lapses, the Osmo has these amazing moving time lapses that turn out really good. So the GoPro has a bit more manual control, but the Osmo has the really cool feature of the moving time lapses that, when done correctly, look amazing. So that age-old question of which one should you get? Once again, there's a lot these cameras have in common, but there's also a lot that makes them different. Obviously, it's a no-brainer if you're doing any action sports, anything underwater, anything in the snow, the GoPro is going to be your clear winner. If you're wanting to get more cinematic type shots, get some nice B-roll that maybe you can do a little more with the image, you're trying to match a larger camera, that's where I think maybe the Osmo comes more into it. I can understand why some people have both of these in their kit. You see some of these YouTubers with their what's in my camera bag and they've got both of these cameras, and I could definitely see the need for that, because if I'm going out and I'm going to be getting into water, obviously I want to have a GoPro with me. But if I'm doing like an interview or any sort of like film shoot and I want to just get a little bit of behind the scenes B-roll, this is a great behind the scenes camera. So easy in the pocket, get a couple shots. A lot of times when I'm doing behind the scenes, I'll just grab a couple shots on my phone, being able to get these smooth little gradable shots. Pretty nice little camera. Once again, I'm not going to tell you what to buy. I'm sure you're watching a bunch of other videos besides mine. I just wanted to give you another look, another example, another opinion on these cameras. I think they're both really great. It comes down to what you need to do with them. If I had to just pick one, for me personally, I have a larger camera with a gimbal. If I need to get those kind of shots, I can get that with that big rig. And there's a lot that I can do with the GoPro that I can't do with my big camera. So if I was just to pick one for me, I would probably pick the GoPro. It fills a lot of holes that the larger camera can't. If you do decide you want to pick up either of these cameras, I'll have affiliate links down the bottom. Doesn't cost you any extra and it helps out my channel. Maybe just click on them, and so anything you buy in the next 24 hours, I get like 3 cents. I don't know. Maybe I can afford a haircut. Once again, I hope you found this video helpful, or at the least enjoyable. If you did, feel free to leave a like or a comment down below. Let me know what you enjoyed. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm out here trying to bring a lot of value in 2019. Thanks for watching.